nice and, well, let's just say a warm and humid 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. Nothing particularly special about that exact time, but it is time to go out and hit back. So there's a gym that's a little bit further away from me, which I've been going to a lot, kind of the old school one I went to yesterday. But for simpler muscle groups, I don't mind just going to more of a basic gym. You know, the one I'm headed to today, they've got cables, dumbbells, a few back machines, and that's pretty much it. You know, I'm not talking home gym dumbbells and a rack basic, but, you know, just basic shit. You know, there's no need to use like a fucking Nautilus pull down where like the seat moves, or like any weird kind of free motion. You know, there's nothing really special. You know, don't get confused. There's nothing extremely special about any one particular piece of gym equipment, apart from its ability to, well, really its ability to let you activate your own ability to fucking contract whatever your targeted muscle may be. So, you know, for me, with a lot of new shit, I mean, I'm sure you've noticed this. For me, at my college gym, they replaced a lot of equipment. They got some new stuff, and it was like a new line of, I don't remember, like Life Fitness or something. All just like weird pulleys where you didn't need them. Like, you know, the more basic a machine is, honestly, I almost think the better. Just because, you know, it doesn't have to have that many moving parts, you know? Like, I'll get on an old pec deck, like a really kind of old school one, where it's like just fucking, not even plastic coated handles, just a straight up metal bar as the handle. It's my favorite pec deck ever. It was my favorite pec deck of all fucking time. And then it gets replaced with a brand spanking new, covered in plastic, selectorized, just scrappy pec deck. You know, that's where, that's my only gripe with a lot of, but then again, that's from my perspective of like a crazy fucking lifter, to the, you know, the kind of the average guy to look into a gym and see all the equipment matching. It all looks nice, it all looks fancy and new. It's a bit more of a draw for like commercial gyms. So that's where I like a lot of newer equipment, where it's actually kind of more bodybuilding oriented. But apart from that, all I'm trying to say there is, you know, who gives a shit? If you see videos of guys in Gold's Gym and they get to use a fancy multiple angle Panada chest press, and all you've got is your hammer strength one at home, which kind of is a little squeaky for your home gym, whatever, man. You know, it's not about the tools. Right? We've all heard only a bad craftsman blames his tools. But yeah, plan here, keep it simple. Pull downs, rows, pullovers of a few different varieties. And then by the time I've done like maybe 8-ish sets, that'll be it. For back, I usually do a little bit of an alternating approach, because, I'll just say my approach first. Like, I might start with 2 sets of pull downs, or a pull down style movement, and then maybe move on to, you know, I don't know, maybe like fucking, I mean, it's whatever. Pull downs, pullovers, rows, fucking, you know, it doesn't really matter. But kind of going back and forth between pull downs, lat focus movements, and then more rowing, mid-back, trap focus movements. Because by the time I go back and forth between like 3 of those, like I did a few rows, a few pull downs, back and forth, then my back is going to be completely pumped and fatigued at the end of the lift. And doing a pull down, you still get a little bit of lower trap activation from, you know, the kind of the retraction of your scapula. And same thing with rows, you're still going to get lat activation. So even though there is merit to looking at every muscle group at each individual like muscle insertions level, I wouldn't sweat it. You know, you're not gonna catch me do 10 sets of traps and then 10 sets of lats and then 10 sets of mid-back. You know, at least for me, just hitting my back in its entirety from different angles, 8-ish sets, that's about right. Because by the time I've done that many, I'm fully pumped, I'm fully fatigued, and I've seen reasonable back growth. And that is not me saying that that's a perfect approach. I'm just saying for my own build and everything else that I'm doing, that works for me. So that's where you got to figure that shit out for yourself, man. If whatever back training you've been doing, you've noticed that your lats aren't any bigger. One thing that really kind of spoils me now is just how much I document all my training. Like, not even on the social media side of things, just for me to be able to look at, at this point, we're getting into a year and a half, almost years of just straight daily documentation of all the workouts and stuff. I can see minute changes, especially in the posing. Like, it's really kind of abrupt in the intros. I keep seeing all the Sam clips get reposted, and it's like the lat spread that I did in the first intro, like where I'm up against that white screen, versus the second one versus the third one. Like, my sort of silhouette has gotten so much crazier over the last year and a half, which is just really fucking cool for me to see. So that's where now getting into a little bit of a side note. If you're really going to be serious about working out, and then honestly, probably just in general, it's nice to have an actual camera. We've all got our phones. Everybody's got, there's all the shot on iPhone, like Apple ads. So everybody thinks they have a crazy fancy phone, or a crazy fancy camera in their pocket at all times, which we definitely do. But there's something kind of fancy that happens when you actually have a real, like, camera lens, because that's what kind of gives that background sort of blurry effect. It's worth looking into, So if you're thinking about something for your birthday or something, for Christmas, I guess if you're in my younger demographic, something to tell your parents to get you, or if you're in my older demographic, something for you to get yourself. Having a camera is pretty fucking cool, because my these little pose down comparisons and like looking at my training clips from a real kind of cool camera versus my phone's camera, I feel way cooler looking at the fucking HD 4K clips, and even though your phone says it shoots in 4K, not the same. Absolutely not the same. But enough camera chat, which I'll definitely do from time to time. This is not something I really expected, it's not something I predicted. But from doing all these and watching all these camera videos, I feel like a total fucking photography nerd. And I love it. I love looking at all the brand new fucking lenses and zooms and you get the gist. But let's stop nerding out and get started on back. On whatever movement I end up starting with. What do you think? Roll the dice. Lats focused or mid-back focused row? Let's find out. All done. Diabolically pumped, satisfactorily fatigued, and in an overall sense, I am rather content at the moment. There's no more zen period for the lifter's day than post-lift, and I've been saying this a lot, post-lift, sit in your car, play on your phone, you had a good workout, you push yourself hard, now you get to chill. That's just nice. And the cool part is, that happens no matter how good you felt. As long as the effort was there. I don't care if I was like dog shit sick today. The fact that I knew I pushed it, I'm still a happy camper. So that's where you've basically got a few different sets of responsibilities in terms of maintaining your progress and making legit gains. You have your kind of animalistic intensity responsibility, where if you're in the gym and you've taken your pre-workout, you're gonna lift fucking hard, regardless of if you feel good, if you feel tired, if you got a good amount of sleep, if you're a bit dehydrated, if you didn't eat enough food, if you maybe ate too much food and you feel a little sick, whatever. You've got a responsibility to yourself, if you actually want to make gains, to where once you step in the doors, some serious work is going to be done. But you can help yourself out. If that's you if that's the day shift, if that's the morning shift, then the closing shift is when you're at home doing everything else outside of the workout, which is gonna affect how good you feel during the workout. So if you get a good amount of rest, you drink enough fucking water, or throw some electrolyte packets in there of any variety, have a good amount of food, hit your protein intake, don't stay awake until 3 a.m. when you have to wake up at 7, things like that, then there's no longer an added difficulty of the intensity side of things, because you're already good. You're ready. You're prepped. The best lifts that I ever have, I'm looking at them objectively, like strength, intensity, pump, everything, the best and most productive lifts that I have, and I mean like not productive in the grand scheme of like maintaining my effort levels. I mean the workouts which I know are the best and giving me the best results are the ones where everything is in order. I'm well rested, I'm well fed, I'm well slept, and when all those things are fucking, locked in, then I'm probably almost gonna have a guaranteed good mindset, because I've got nothing like irking or nagging me in my mind, making me get distracted or whatever. And all I get to do is go in and really just see how fucking hard I can push myself. And then, before you know it, your music's playing, the workout's over, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're saying, I gotta make a fucking stops of goodwill. This 2XL is a little bit tight on me. Better get a 4XL. And that is a pretty cool thing to fucking think. So that's where it's encroaching on your way of life. So that's this is not a rhetorical statement. How far do you want to take it? There are a lot of guys who just work out. They go to the gym. They don't really worry much about the diet side of things. They're not hitting their protein perfectly every day. They're not taking creatine. They're not doing their multivitamins. That's just not what they're into. They just want to work out, have a good, hour of exercise every day, come home, totally chill, not have to worry about it. And that's totally fucking fine, As much as I'm always like, dude, you got to track your macros, bro. You got to count every gram. You got to weigh it out. Just having an exercise routine, like a workout routine, going to the gym every day, plus if you were to do your cardio in the morning as well, like if you took a guy and you told him nothing about diet, you told him nothing about fucking like sleep or anything fucking supplementarily, whatever, he's not taking multivitamins, he's not fucking doing whatever, all you had him do was do 30 minutes of cardio in the morning, break a sweat, burn like 300 calories, have his heart rate elevated for 30 minutes, and that could be playing fucking basketball or just doing anything, doesn't matter. If he's active for 30 minutes in the morning, cardiovascular style, and then he did a weight-based workout in the evening, and it doesn't even have to be like insane maximum Dorian Yates failure type sets every time. If he just did 8 like decent working sets, he felt a burn, he knew he did some damage, he stimulated his muscle. If he did that for a few months without changing anything else or without trying to change anything else about his diet, that dude is gonna make serious fucking gains. If you take a regular ass guy and you make him fucking exercise and be active like that, that is a fucking game changer. Now, when I talk about the importance of the diet and everything else, and like making sure your sleep's on point, you're getting all your fucking vitamins, you're taking your fish oil, you're getting all your fucking, red meats in, and steaks and proteins and chicken and whatever, that's all, I don't want to say extra, but those are kind of, extra kind of, I was about to say upgrades. I've been playing a lot of balloons, tower defense battles. It's almost, I'm kind of enjoying it more than fucking Clash Royale. But so when I talk about the importance of the diet side of things and locking in every other aspect of your training, that is going to continue to give you gains, right? You're going to have to do that if you want to make continued gains beyond like the 6-8 month mark. But in no way do you have to even really worry about that as a beginner. If you haven't worked out at all yet, you haven't gotten into it at all, you're a complete novice, or you know somebody who's a complete novice, do not like pressure them into thinking that they need to be a goddamn professional dietitian to start working out. And like if they do anything short of that, then they're not going to make any progress. Being in the gym on a consistent basis is night and day compared to somebody who's not training at all. And then, that's kind of like the gateway drug of lifting, because once you start working out, odds are you see your first bicep vein, you're hooked. And you're going to say, oh crap, gains are pretty fucking cool. What can I do to make this, continue to let me progress for longer? Then you're going to start looking into your diet more. You're going to realize like, oh crap, maybe 30 grams of protein per day isn't ideal for somebody my weight. Maybe I should be eating a little bit more, little things like that. And then before you know it, you're fucking, you're walking into the gym and you're saying, oh crap, yeah, I don't really like this push down handle. I feel way too much short head. I'm going to switch to single arm overhead because I can really work my long head. And you're going to know every little itty bitty detail about lifting just from, I mean, half of it is just going to be from social media. Our phones are always listening to us now. Even if you watch this clip inadvertently, it just got fed to you. Odds are your phone's going to keep pushing like fitness related content to you, which kind of blessing and a curse style. Definitely a fucking invasion of your privacy. But that does mean that you've got lifting tips and information at your fingertips at all fucking times. So I say as soon as you kind of realize you want to make legit gains, it's an upward fucking, or it's a upward spiral. There we go. I was about to say downward spiral. No. It's an upward spiral because you're going to work out, you're going to enjoy it, you're going to say, okay, what can I do to keep enjoying this? What can I do to keep making gains? You know, I don't want my bench to be 225 forever. I want to get up to 250. I want to get up to 270. I want to get up to whatever. Right? You got to lock in the diet, man. And in terms of weight gain, I haven't really talked much about bulking, even though this is like early stages in my bulk right now. There's no way to get around it. If you want to grow, if you want to make legit fucking muscular gains, get bigger, get stronger, you know, get more fucking defined peaks of your bicep and have your chest protrude out more, you got to eat enough to fucking, you know, facilitate that growth. And that's something which you really have to kind of learn to understand. And I can't really say it any more plainly than that. If I didn't eat enough, I mean, it's a guarantee. I know it. If I don't eat enough food, this bulk, no matter how hard and well I train, I'm not going to grow. I'm just going to end up staying the exact same size. Because don't forget, the point of working out per se and going into the gym, you're not growing any muscle in the gym. Honestly, all you're doing is stressing out your system and really stressing out whatever muscle you just trained locally. And then what you do outside of the gym, diet-wise, sleep-wise, recovery-wise, that's what determines the effect of that muscular stimulation that you got with the weights. So when I'm dieting down, if I destroy my fucking quads, when I come home and I eat in my calorie deficit, all I'm doing is, you know, fucking repairing the damage I did to my quads, having them maintain their size and strength, because I don't have enough calories in my system to fucking, you know, maintain and build up some more fucking quad mass. But now that I'm getting into the fucking calorie surplus kind of side of things, when I fucking wrecked my back today, I'm gonna go home and my body's gonna say, shit, man, you got a fucking full tank. Let's fix this. Let's fix this up right. You know, it's like flipping a house. You gotta have the money to do the repairs and then actually make it nicer. If you kind of catch my gist there, that's kind of pushing it with the analogies, but you know, there's no way to get around it. So if you know that you're itching for some more gains and you've been kind of staying around the same weight for more than you would like, I don't want to call you out for a specific time frame, but you know that you want to get bigger, get stronger. Some guys in your friend group they're focusing on their meals. You're seeing them walking around with fucking prepped meals in a thing of in like little plastic Tupperwares. Look, those things of chicken and rice or just anything, the food is gonna add up. And if you can't get it down, then you need to figure out a way to. And that's kind of on you, man, because a lot of stuff, fitness related, workout related, diet related, it's not really that simple as to just listen to someone talk about it and then you internalize it and you now get it. You have to go through the process of seeing what you're doing actually result in some kind of change in your own body, and then you'll understand. You know, that's like telling a kid not to fucking like, don't lick that 9-volt battery, it's gonna zap your tongue. They're like, well, no, it's not. That's not really what happens. You know what I'm saying, right? You don't understand how sharp a knife is until you accidentally cut yourself. So that's sort of the idea I'm saying there. You know, as much as you may kind of hear and listen to me like fucking yap on and on about calories and macros and I was about to say supersets, you know, calories and macros and surpluses and deficits. Once you've gone through the process of watching yourself lose body weight because you've been eating in a consistent deficit, or once you've watched yourself begin to gain body weight, make size gains, make strength gains, because you're finally actually eating in a consistent surplus, once you've done that, that's when a little switch in your brain is going to click, and you're going to realize, like, oh shit, yeah, man, food is actually having a pretty serious effect on how I feel. After just one day of eating a lot of food, because I was doing 2,500 2 days ago, the day before and the day of chest, I was eating about, like, I went a little extra, had like 4,000. I'm cutting down, doing like 3.5 right now for this next few weeks. But after just a few days, 2 days literally, of higher than normal calories, actually eating in a calorie surplus than sticking into that deficit that I've been in for a while, I immediately felt fucking stronger, because I went from being flat and carb depleted to fucking, full and kind of pumped up. So once you've done that and you've gone through the process of that, then you're gonna really get it. And then it'll be so much easier to, kind of pretty much just apply yourself to your diet, because you'll really have a deep understanding, like, okay, this is gonna have a direct result with my progress. Because if no one's ever actually dieted before, they don't really get it. This is something which I love seeing every time we do any kind of like appearances or stuff, or at the Arnold, or whenever we stop at like a supplement store and I get to talk to everybody. The guys who show me their fat loss transformations, where they lost like 80 pounds in like 6 months, or some of these guys lost like 100 pounds in a whole year, they understand it. I can relate with them on a fucking deep level, because they know calories in, calories out is the thing that they're kind of fighting against. That's their stimulus to actually make their fucking gains towards their end result of whatever progress they're aiming for. So I can't stress enough, the primary stimulator of my growth, this bulk, it's the calories. Because if I don't eat enough, I'm simply not going to grow. So that's I think that's the end of my shtick right there. I got to get gas before I head back to the crib, and then I've got a steak waiting for me in the sous vide. Sear that thing up with a pack of instant rice, and I'm gonna be a happy guy. So I'll see you tomorrow for arms. Oh my god, first bulked arm pump. I might be too excited. So let me not crash my car while turning. I'll see you then. There we go. I think the transition phase is over. There isn't too much pollen out in the world anymore. We're getting into full-fledged, just summer sun, heat, and that's pretty much the fucking gist of it. That's nice for me. I've been blowing my nose like a fucking animal for the past like 4 weeks, and I'm glad to finally be able to breathe out of my fucking nasal cavity. That's something I'm kind of interested in. I've tried them before. The nose strips, sort of it's like this adhesive kind of plasticky elastic thing you stick on your nose, and it basically opens you up. I definitely need to start sleeping with one of those on for sure. Maybe even training with them. That's get some more oxygen without so much load to actually, manage. We've all been there. We've all had a fucking stuffy nose and you're doing legs. Not awesome. Not particularly ideal. But I'm not highlighting that that's happening right now. I'm just saying it's just something that's off my plate, per se. But actually getting into the training for today, 30 minutes of cardio done. And look, I can understand when you're dieting down and you're in a deficit and you're actually depleted, you're legit making fat loss progress. 30 minutes of cardio can be kind of tricky because you're on low energy mode. You're on low fucking energy mode, like you're tired, you're not as like amped up for your training. So fed cardio on a bulk, it is so fucking easy. I mean, I'm burning the same 300 calories per hour like I was before. Or no, 300 calories every half hour. Sit on the seat of the bike for 30 minutes, pedal at like level 10 difficulty. I think 90-ish RPM, that ends up adding up to 300. What the machine says is 300 calories an hour, or every half hour, which, whatever. As long as I want you to break a sweat 15 minutes deep and then maintain that sweat for another 15 minutes. That's about right, in my opinion. Get your heart rate up in the 140s, consistent. But dude, the cardio when you're bulking, it's so easy. It's not even a fucking chore. Like, I'm not even, because I've got so much extra energy now that I'm eating excess calories. Like, all I have to do is do it. So, oh, I could maybe understand why you're skipping your cardio, because you're like, oh well, it's hard. If you're bulking, even if you're just eating in maintenance, 30 minutes of 30 minutes of cardio, that's not that tricky, man. You know, and I say that like I'm ripping on you, because I'm trying to make you listen. This is me talking to anybody who's not doing their cardio on a consistent basis. But I promise you're going to see better gains and results in the long term if you've got your cardio down pat. Because it's going to play into fucking everything else, you know? Like if you're, what's a good way to fucking describe this? All right, let's say gains, the process of making gains is like you're trying to push a massive fucking stone across the ground, right? If your sleep is totally shit, you're not drinking enough water, you're not eating enough protein, you're literally just not eating enough food, and you're not doing your cardio, then that analogy would look something like trying to push a massive, like, square stone. You're not gonna be able to fucking push that thing, you know? But as soon as you get your sleep in order, that stone starts to get a little bit rounder. As soon as you get your calories in, you're actually eating a consistent, you know, gram per pound of body weight of protein, that stone's getting even rounder. You know, you're taking all your pre-workout, everything, you're training hard, it's getting rounder, it's getting rounder. You start adding your cardio, now you're just pushing a massive fucking marble ball. It's gonna push like nothing, you know? So if you can get everything outside of the actual training in order, then, I mean, let's just say this, your rate of progress should begin to astonish you, right? So that's all I'm saying there. I'll finish my cardio rant. Do your cardio. You're going to enjoy having done it. Now, it takes a little while to see the results. That's kind of the downside. You don't just do 30 minutes of cardio and then you're suddenly Mr. Olympia. But it will help. And I say that with my full chest. So, plan for today with arms, triceps, biceps, and then I'm going to add some direct forearm work in, but not today. Because I'm thinking that I'm only going to do back, you know, my back day lift every other sort of, you know, loop in the workout split. So that's going to leave me with an extra day. I think I might just make that forearms and like calves, or just, you know, really whatever sort of accessory work I want to do. So in a way, I'm going to have a lighter day kind of planned, but I think I'll just replace one of my back days with some forearms and whatever else. But for today, you know the drill. I'm talking heavy pushdowns, I'm talking heavy single arm pushdowns, heavy machine dips, some rope squeezing stuff, maybe not some skull crushers yet. I'm a skull crusher fan, but I feel like it's something to be taken, you know, to be taken with its flaws. Heavy skull crushers are very, let's just say they put an interesting torque on your elbows to the point where I'm not going to be slamming like 5 sets of really heavy skull crushers every workout. I mean, it's just, I'm just wrenching my fucking tendons. So that's where, you know, I like a straight up kind of normal push down, just because it's a much more natural kind of movement path. And my elbows like it, which is not something to be disregarded. You know, if your elbows feel really good doing rope pushdowns, rope extensions, but they really fucking, like, doing any kind of machine dip really hurts your elbows, like right here, this kind of rounder part of the end of it is just like on fire, then yeah, maybe don't do that. You know, it's a pretty awesome system how if you're doing anything that's basically hurting you, you get an immediate signal like, dude, don't do that. What the fuck, man? So that's where you can be a little bit picky with your machines and your movements, because you know what ends up feeling good for you. So it's a pretty obvious feeling when something does not work. It's a little bit less obvious when something's really working. That's where you've got to have the presence of mind as a lifter to say, whoa, I can seriously feel my entire long head of my tricep contracting when I do this sort of kneeling push down. So, you know, keep your eyes open, make sure you're really kind of in tune with whatever muscle you're training, and then eventually you'll kind of get your own little repertoire of go-to movements. like I try to do a lot. I try to change it up, do different kinds of D handles, overhand, underhand, single arm, rope, but I definitely go back to a couple staples more often than not, just because I know they're going to work for me. For arms, that's going to be straight up, either straight bar push downs or kind of the easy bar kind of push downs. Real heavy, nothing fancy there, just pretty classic. I like single arm D handle push downs. I like the machine dip. And then I like some underhand, 2D handle kind of extensions. Right? That's a pretty good example of a couple classics. And then same thing with biceps. Alternating dumbbell curls, probably my favorite, just because it's perfect, man. Right? If you're trying to fucking hit a nail into a piece of wood, you can use all sorts of shit, but a hammer is going to do the job pretty well. So the alternating dumbbell curl, I think, is pretty much my bread and butter. But I still love doing like seated concentration curls and preachers and cable, and like machine curls where the movement path is totally locked. It's just whatever I know is going to let me really load a considerable amount of weight into the targeted muscle, bicep, tricep, chest, whatever, and then be able to bring it, make it a hard set, and fucking see the results that come afterwards. So I think I'm not gonna do a ton of alternating arm days now, because I'm sure you've seen a lot of arm workouts where it's like one set of push downs, one set of curls, or maybe like 3 sets of triceps, then 3 sets of biceps, back and forth like that. I like that when I'm dieting, just because I'm not getting so physically pumped, because I'm flat, I'm carb depleted. But now that I'm bulking up, I'm not even really peak fullness yet. This morning I was 243, so that's about 4 pounds since the beginning of this kind of bulking phase, which it's a pretty stable kind of increase in intramuscular carbs, water, glycogen, everything. But even with just 4 pounds of extra kind of fluids floating around in my system, I'm going to be able to fucking feel it, So half the reason why I'm not going to do tricep set, bicep set, back and forth like that, is I'm going to be too pumped. I know that's something that's strange to hear from my mouth. That's fucking ludicrous. Sam, what are you talking about? You can never be too pumped. But let me explain. What'll happen is, if I'm doing a supersetting kind of arm day, if my triceps are fully pumped, it's going to kind of limit my fucking range of motion on my bicep curls, because I'm now fighting against the internal tension my triceps have behind me. And then same thing with push downs, almost in 2 ways, because if I've got a crazy bicep pump and I'm doing heavy tricep push downs, for one thing, it's going to be a lot harder for me to fully extend, because my biceps are now trying to keep my arm from getting completely straight. But when my biceps are fully pumped, what'll happen is, when I get to the top kind of stretch position of a push down, my forearm kind of runs into my fucking bicep and it sort of takes the tension off, which I'm not saying that's an inherently bad thing, right? It just kind of changes the strength curve of the movement. But when I'm bulking up, I'm much more prone to take let's just call it a simpler approach. Totally wreck triceps, and once they're done, once they're fully cooked, change gears, start throwing some hard balls, some curves, some fastballs of biceps, and really fucking thrash them until completion. So nothing too fancy there. I definitely feel carbed up. I've had about 300 grams of carbs so far, 120 grams of fats, and 80 grams of protein from a variety of sources. Breakfast this morning was 25 grams worth of egg whites out of a carton, 4 whole eggs, and then 4 packs of instant Ben's oatmeal, or Ben's original. No, that's the rice. I can't remember. Like the Quakers, like flavored oats, did the peaches and cream. So this morning's breakfast was 100 grams of carbs there. I think there's like 4 grams of sugar, which is kind of what I'm looking for. Like, I want to overload my carb intake, but not do too many sweets, just because I do know it's kind of stressing my system out a little bit, or not even a little bit, kind of a lot of bit. So I want to see what happens when I chill out on the sugar intake and really kind of maximize more slower digesting carbs. But 50 grams of protein, about 25 grams of fats, and then 100 grams of carbs. That was a perfect fucking breakfast for me. I'll probably just end up recreating that as this bulk progresses. You know, if you find something that works, why change it? But I foresee in my mind's eye a nasty arm pump. So let's just get it started. There we go. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling the fucking bulk now. It's kind of been a while. I'm used to dieting. I mean, shit, I think this is the longest cutting period I've ever had. It was like 2.5 months. But yeah, there is something special about leaving the gym after a full of carbs pump, because I'm fucking still kind of like swollen and inflated from it, which is fucking a-okay with me. Honestly, the more time I spend pumped, the better. But plan now, probably go home, have I was considering just stopping at the Chipotle, but for me to get enough like steak in the kind of steak tacos that I like, it's kind of not even worth it. I'll just go home and make a steak with some rice and put some cheese on it, and it's the same shit, you know. That's one thing I'll do when I diet down, is I end up I didn't do it a ton this cutting phase, but historically I have actually meal prepped a little bit before and made like 20 individually wrapped, essentially what my Subway order is. Talking turkey, mustard, mayonnaise, lettuce, pickles, but in a diet-friendly context, replace the white bread slices with the keto high-fiber bread, replace the mayonnaise with low-fat mayo, you know, and I guess the turkey's always just turkey, the lettuce is always just lettuce, and so is the mustard. But little things, you know, if you're trying to diet down, if you can find a calorie-smart option, take it. It's going to make your fucking process of dieting so much easier, you know? Like fat-free cheese, love it. Zero sugar barbecue sauce, love it. Diet sodas, diet drinks, anything zero, love it. I'm not I'm not really freaking about any kind of aspartame. I will be a little tricky about like sucralose though, so it's like I'm picky about certain things. But in terms of aspartame, I've never had a problem. I'm not inclined to believe that you're gonna have a problem. But, you know, that's a case-by-case basis. You know, if you drink a diet soda and it immediately gives you a headache, then for one thing, I'm gonna be a little concerned and ask you what your electrolyte intake is like. But, you know, whatever. Slam some water instead. Be a grown-up. But, yeah, I'm definitely excited to go home. I'm feeling so well rested, because I don't know about you, I definitely hear in the literature that it's not ideal to go to bed on a full stomach or have a meal directly before bed. It's going to impact your recovery. I've never noticed that. I've never seen that as an issue for me, because I'll go to bed and fucking just have a massive ass meal right beforehand, go to bed with a full stomach, and I wake up like nothing, man. I fucking love it. So that's one thing where if you're dieting, I know I'm bulking, but I'm going on a little bit of a dieting rant here, but if you're dieting, if you're trying to trim down, I think it may be in your best interest, more than likely, to try to save and allocate more of your calorie intake towards later in the day, towards when you're going to go to bed, because then you can actually go to bed with a full stomach. You know, you're about to do ideally 8, really ideally like 9 hours straight of no eating, no drinking. So if you have a big ass meal beforehand, odds are any chance that you're going to wake up hungry or not be able to go to sleep because you're hungry, you're going to mitigate those, you know? And I think if you were to somehow track the time periods of the day which people are most likely to cheat on their diet, you know, and overshoot their calorie limit, I think the majority of those are going to happen at night, you know, because you were good all day. Fuck it, I deserve a little treat. Not good, man. You know, but either case, bulking or cutting, you've got to lock in. You've got to lock in soon, you know, because honestly, there's no wrong decision. Let's say you're about to spend the next 3 months doing something. Now, do you want to bulk up, set yourself up for a dieting phase later, make some actual tangible strength and size gains? Or do you want to start trimming down, peel off some of the body fat, look at the progress you've already made so far, maybe walk around lean for a little while, enjoy the time period where you're kind of in your show-offy state? Like, either case, you got to pick one, you know, because odds are what happens, and I hear this all the time, it's like, should I bulk or should I cut? The longer that you're in that, you know, position of indecision is the longer that you're just delaying gains. Like, you're not even trying in a way, you know, because for the lifter who's not like extremely locked in, who goes to the gym, has a workout, comes home, isn't really dieting, isn't really bulking, odds are you're not making much gains. Odds are you're not really making serious progress year to year, month to month. Week to week is a little bit abrupt, but month to month. You know, if you're the same lifter you were 3 months ago, then that means all you've been doing for the last 3 months is maintaining where you're at now. And as time changes, you know, as time passes, if you're doing something and manually putting effort into something, you know, you should be improving at it. So that's where I think if you're on the fence, you don't know if you should bulk, you don't know if you should cut. I'm bulking, so maybe I'm going to tell you that you should start bulking up as well. You know, start chowing down on some extra cups of rice, or get some Ben's Original, or instead of no breakfast, you know, have some eggs, have 4 packets of instant oatmeal, get some cream of wheat, throw some blueberries in there. You know, up the carb intake. Not too many sweets, though I don't have a problem with some sweets when you're bulking up, right? Because if you don't get enough calories in, you're just simply not going to grow. But I'm a bit more convinced, I'm a bit more understandable now that the majority of your excess calories, if they're coming from more conventionally, like, appropriate sources, I'm talking oats, I'm talking potatoes, I'm talking wheat, rice, you're probably gonna have a better time, you know. So I have yet to see that per se, but what I'm hoping is, you know, instead of having 400 calories or 400 grams of carbs from just like straight up sweets and whatever else, and primarily focusing on more oatmeals, rice, potatoes, like actual whole kind of food carb sources, what I'm hoping is that it's going to allow me to eat more food for longer, because those are less intensive on my whole system to actually break down, you know. My blood sugar's not going to go too crazy up and down from eating too many sweets all the time. That's what I'm thinking. That's kind of where my head's at there. But right now, I was just talking to somebody, in terms of this bulk, for these next few weeks, I'm in first gear. You know, I've shifted from neutral, which is me dieting down. I'm now in first. 3,500-ish calories. Honestly, 35 might be a little low. I think I might actually need to up it to 4,000, because I keep wanting to eat more. But 35, 4,000, that's about what I'm floating at, and I'm trying not to go over. Like, I'm hungry for more, but I'm gonna keep it here for a little while, because I'm literally already gaining weight, which is the goal. You know, the goal of this bulk is not to eat as much as possible every day. The goal of the bulk is to consistently gain weight. So if I'm gaining weight, that means I'm eating enough to grow. And if anything gets in the way of that, if my weight suddenly plateaus and I'm no longer up in the scale every week, then that's my cue, eat more food, you know. So that's where this ramp up style, this titrating up of calories, I feel is pretty much the approach to a real bulk. And had I known this, you know, 2 years ago and implemented this for my first bulking phase onward, would I be bigger now? Possibly. I can't say for sure, you know, but maybe. But that's where, you know, hindsight's 2020. You got to take every move with the current knowledge that you have at that point, and try to make a good fucking decision. So, you know, if you know, oh crap, I said I was going to do a bulk last year. I never really did it. Oh shit. It's not too late, man. Just start it right now. You know, go on the App Store, look up a macro tracker. Doesn't matter which one. You can do MyFitnessPal. You can get the stupid simple macro tracker, the one I use, which apparently is not that stupid simple. Sometimes you guys comment and you say that it's not very good. But either case, you know, I didn't even used to use a tracker. I would just open my notes app for the, you know, on my phone, and just, you know, manually change the number of how many carbs, fats, and proteins I'd had that day, and, you know, track it like that. But however you want to do it, if you can make sure that every day, and I'm not talking like, you know, you need to meal prep. I'm not saying you have to do chicken, rice 8 times a day, every 2 hours. You know, I think end state, you know, final state, that's probably the best way to do it, because you really got to optimize every possible vector of your digestion and everything like that. So I'm sure I'm going to get to a point where these meals are extremely rigid routine, just to make sure I can keep getting them down on a consistent basis. But in general, for someone who's not necessarily super knowledgeable about like Well, how do I even bulk? How do I even do that? It's very simple, man. You've got the entire day. You have your entire day, and all I need you to do is, before you go to bed at night, have eaten a gram per pound of body weight of protein. So if you're a 160 pounder, I want you to eat a gram of protein for every one of those pounds. I think that's about right. Some guys love talking about like doing 2 grams per pound. Not necessary. Some guys say do half a gram per pound. I think that's a little low. I think a gram per pound is about the sweet spot. So do that. Maybe get half that number in fats. This is just like a generalization. Like, this isn't totally exact, like a diet plan or anything. But that's kind of what I end up doing. I aim for like about a gram of protein, half a gram of fats, and then I just up the carbs as necessary. So right now I'm at about 3,500 calories, which is enough for me to steadily start gaining weight and re-feeding myself. That puts me at about 400 or 300 grams of carbs per se. So as this bulk continues, the fat intake is going to stay about the same. I'm not going to get anything out of 300 grams of fats per day. It's not going to do anything except put more calories in my system. Having extra carbs is going to actually make me feel fucking big and full. So the carbs are going to increase, every few weeks. Make sure that my minimum carb intake for that day is now 400 grams instead of 300 grams. A few weeks are going to pass up to 500 grams, things like that. So just fucking start tracking your shit, man. Get a kitchen scale. I can't stress enough that you're missing the details if you're not really watching your diet. And I don't mean watching your diet like don't have treats. I mean watching your diet like not actually hitting your calorie goals. I know guys who say they're bulking, they say they're training hard, and they tell me numbers. These guys tell me, and I know this is such like a cliche kind of like bit, but I'm not lying. These guys are telling me, dude, I'm eating 5,000 calories per day, man, but I'm not growing. I don't say this to them at the time. I just say, yeah, I don't know, man, fuck. But what I'm thinking is, well, guess what? You're probably not eating 5,000 calories per day. Actually, not probably. You are definitely not eating 5,000 calories per day. I'm not ideally, if you're trying to bulk up, you're going to want to eat enough food to grow, but not so much food, not so many calories that you're just spilling over and converting a lot of it to fat. That's what I would consider a dirty bulk, is bulking to the point of like just high fat, body fat percentage that you don't need to do. But somewhere, maybe 1,000 calories above maintenance, whatever that is for you, I think that's about the sweet spot. And then increase is necessary. But there's a little bit of a cue. There's an indicator that's going to tell you if you're eating enough food or not. And that is your bathroom scale. Don't weigh yourself midday. Don't weigh yourself before you go to bed, because you've eaten food, you've drank water, you've walked around, you're probably wearing clothes. That's not going to work. That's not a fucking valuable piece of information. If you weigh 200 when you go to bed, but you're 170 or you're 187 when you wake up in the morning. So how I look at it in terms of tracking your weight: wake up, take a piss, go number 2, no clothes, hop on the scale. That is your real weight. If anybody asks me how heavy I am, if I eat a ton of food and I drink a ton of water, I could be 260 right now. But I'd have just a full stomach of nothing. That's not body weight. So your real weight is in the morning after you go to the bathroom. You got an empty stomach, that's your real weight. So if you weigh yourself like that you don't even have to do it every day, but if you do that, every Friday morning, I'm still going to do it every day because I like the information. But if you weigh yourself consistently and your weight isn't changing, that means you have to eat more. And sure, if you're a guy who doesn't really naturally have a huge appetite, you don't just love chowing down on a crazy amount of food, then yeah, that's gonna suck for you, man. But this is an unfair world. So if you're the guy who you're like, dude, I eat so much already, look, if you want to grow, you're gonna have to eat more. And don't shoot the messenger. I'm just trying to tell you what's up. The same thing is true in reverse. Somebody can think they're dieting hard as fuck. They think they're like, I'm not eating anything, man, I feel like I'm starving. But same thing, if the scale isn't going down, that guy's eating too many calories. And there's tips, there's tricks, all the meals that I'm eating, especially later on down this bulk, I'm going to eat them specifically because I know it's going to be easy for me to eat. And in reverse, when I'm dieting down, I try to make sure I eat foods that are a little bit longer to eat. They're a bit more kind of, not fluffy, but voluminous per se, where it takes a while to eat it. I got a big plate of food in front of me, but it only ends up adding up to like 600 calories in one big ass plate of meals. So it's not so simple as just eat more and just eat less. There are tips and tricks to go about it, but looking at it from an overarching kind of third person perspective, the guy who's not growing isn't eating enough food, and the guy who's not getting leaner is eating too much. So you got to be able to have the humility to look at your own fucking, let's just say, history of progress and say, crap, maybe I have been eating too much food. Maybe I should be trying to track my macros. I've been kind of telling myself I want to start dieting down, but I haven't really. If that's you, if you've got that little itch, I can guarantee if you fucking scratch it by way of actually starting to kind of lock it in, look up some Greg Doucette cookbook recipes or whatever else, and start to get a grasp on the diet side of things, you will not fucking regret it. So that's my ending shtick there. So today was arm day. I'll see you tomorrow for what I think is going to be a pretty nasty ass carved up pumped leg day. I better get a good night's rest. So I'll see you then. There we are. Yet again, another reasonably timed lift. And I know I said I wasn't going to do back day again this back day, because I am going to back off on my back training for this bulk. But I want to do one more. I want to do one more back day before I start tapering off them. And I wasn't really in the mood to make today just, like forearms only and calves, which I probably will do, because if I'm taking, so here's my logic, right? My back is a bit overdeveloped, and I can really tell, especially in the last, like the final pose down of the dieting phase, flat, carb depleted, decently lean enough to get a good gauge of how I'm looking proportion wise. Back lat spread, killer. Lats are fucking cool, right? But front double bi, side chest needs, well, I want my chest to be bigger, I want my arms to be bigger, I want my legs to be bigger. But my back, I'm like, yeah, fuck you. I got a solid back for my frame. So that's where I'm gonna chill out on my back activation by way of not hitting it every time it kind of comes up in the routine, I've been doing chest, back, legs, chest, back, arms, and then legs again. So pretty much hitting everything in 8 days, or hitting everything in 4 days. So a little bit less than twice a week, twice every 8 days, which is about right for me, because I can't, I could do chest and then 3 days later do chest again. But when it comes to legs, for me to do like heavy squatting and then to try to do heavy squatting again only 2 days afterward, it's just not enough time to recover, So I used to do everything every 3 days, kind of push-pull leg style, right? Except, I would do legs, chest, back, arms, legs, chest, back, arms, like that. But it just wasn't enough time to recover in between lifts. So that's kind of the approach I've been doing for a while. But if I want everything else to grow and my back to kind of stay the same, then all I need to do is take away the stimulus that's inducing fucking growth. So that's going to be less back days, which I'm already kind of on with shoulders. I haven't done it real, honestly, I can't even remember the last time I did an actual like balls to the wall shoulder day. I'll do some side laterals every so often, but nothing like actually too crazy, because my shoulders are fucking overpowering my arms. I want my arms to kind of catch up. So maybe I'll go through a period of time where I don't do, well, no, I'm not going to completely take back out of the routine, because it plays into every other lift. For me to have there's a difference between just having a certain amount of size and being exposed to a certain amount of like weight. You kind of get a certain strength. My chest wouldn't shrink if for the next 2 months I didn't do heavy pressing, but it would weaken. It would weaken to a fucking considerable degree. So since I want to keep my back strong for squats and, you know, hamstring RDLs, and just be able to have a good support to push off of for pressing, I'm not going to take back all the way out of the routine like I have shoulders, but I am going to ease back on it. So back is probably only going to be once a week, whereas everything else is going to be twice a week. And then, I've said this a couple times, the day that I don't do back, I'll just make that an accessory day, you know? I've been kind of meaning to throw more forearms into the equation. Not so much like up here, like this top of the forearm, which gets activated from like hammer curls, but like down here, like this part that gets activated from like flexing like that. I gotta, you know, put some more meat on this fucking chicken wing. But plan for back day today, nothing wild, you know, because what is there really wild to do anyway? When it comes to something like chest, for me, I like a reasonably rigid approach that just works pretty well for me. Right? Warm up, load up a certain amount of weight gradually, like, you know, if I'm doing inclined barbell, bench a plate for a couple reps, then do 2 plates, then do 3 plates, and then whenever I'm ready for my actual working sets, you know, start with that heavy pressing. But with back, I kind of start with whatever, you know? Like, a lot of the times I've actually been starting with lighter squeezing stuff, kind of as a, well, sort of to act as just working sets as well as warming me up. Because for me to start a chest day and immediately start really heavy pressing, like, that feels good. Like, for whatever reason, that feels pretty natural for me. But with back, I kind of liked, or at least I have for the past couple lifts, been liking doing lighter squeezing stuff, even just like single arm pullovers as the first 2 sets, kind of as just a primer for the rest of the workout. Because sure, it's 2 sets of just light lat squeezing movements. Now it's still like, you know, approaching failure at 20 reps or so, but nothing catastrophic to the lats, nothing like a really crazy heavy pull down. But just in doing so, the heavier stuff that I end up doing later just feels better. If you're curious why I haven't been doing any bent over barbell rows, for one thing, I take them out of the, I usually take those out of back training when I'm dieting down anyway, just because they are a pretty taxing fucking movement. You know, not only because with a chest supported row, the only thing that's really getting worked is my back. I don't have to stabilize, I don't have to keep myself from falling forward or anything. It's just all back, right? But with bent over barbell rows, you know, my glutes are firing and my hamstrings, my quad. Apologies. But no, with so with really heavy barbell rows, I'm working my quads some, not like the same work as the leg extension, but they're getting worked. My hamstrings are firing, my calves are firing, my glutes are firing. My lower back is firing because I literally have to hold all of that weight through my lower back. And then, you know, it's just pretty fucking taxing movement. So in my mind, if I do, let's just say the stimulus that I get from 2 sets of really heavy bent over barbell rows compared to the fatigue that I get from those 2 sets, you know, it kind of makes me lean towards doing more isolative stuff like pull downs or, you know, even just seated cable rows. Because even though that's still heavy, it's not the same level of fucking like overall taxation and exertion, you know. So there are movements where, you know, if you say stimulus to fatigue ratio, my ears are going to perk up. That's why I don't do any deadlifts. The amount of actual like direct lat, mid trap, and back activation, like, it's up there. I'm not going to say it's not. Like, if you were to sit at the gym and do like 4 sets of really heavy, like 10 rep sets of deadlifts, yeah, your back's probably going to be cooked. But more than likely, your glutes are going to be going crazy, your hamstrings are going to be going crazy, you're going to be fucking dying out of breath. Whereas if you spend that same amount of energy doing like pull downs or chest supported rows and things of that nature, I feel like you'll get more direct back work. So if my goal is to come to the gym, spend all my, you know, utilizable energy thrashing my back, then I don't want to waste it on anything else, you know. Not to knock deadlifts, but just, you know, the movements that you're doing, they kind of have to match your goals, right? Now, if you want to do a big deadlift because it's fucking cool, I'm not gonna knock you for it. Fuck, man, hit it. But just know you're spending a lot of energy for those sets. Whereas if your goal is just overall back stimulus, if you want a big back, I might be more inclined to tell you to sit down in the lat pull down and go crazy for a few sets instead of, really pushing it deadlift wise. But I've been there. My when I started working out, this is getting into some of the origin story. This was my first year, basically. I knew the strength and conditioning coach in high school, because that's a class. You actually go to the class. The guy gives you workout routines to do. It's a whole, like, they give you a whole program for the whole year. But that perfectly coincided with one of my study halls at the end of the day. And I was right basically one floor above the weight room. So for my study hall, I got to go down to the weight room. I fucking knew the guy, so he lets me come down and just lift on my own. But as a year one lifter, I wasn't doing my perfect, well, not perfect, but I wasn't doing my 8-set, high intensity lat days. I was, I'd have some days where that day was just trying to max out my deadlift, which maybe not my most productive way to spend my time as a beginner, but didn't hurt myself. So if you're curious what my deadlift PR is, it's 405. 405 is the heaviest I've ever deadlifted. I tried 455. I had straps too. I had somebody give me straps, but I got it up to my shins, couldn't get it again, dropped it, never deadlifted again. I just stopped at that point. So ever since then, deadlifts have been off the menu, which in a back only stimulating context is perfectly fucking fine with me. So let's just get started. Pump back up. Honestly, shouldn't even take too many sets, like, well, I'll kind of know once I'm in there. So let's just get started with whatever the first movement ends up being. There we go. I've learned my lesson. I don't forget to turn the mic on. We're getting professional up in here. But no, what I was going to say was, that is a nasty ass fucking rear lat spread. Oh my goodness. There's something which that's kind of a weird way to go back. But so my lats, my lower deep lats, like where it's closer to the middle of my back, not necessarily where it kind of sweeps out on the sides, that is extra developed. So that's why in that one lat spread, there's almost like a separation between like the lats you can kind of see spreading out and like my lower back, if you can kind of imagine what I'm talking about there. So, but what I was going to say was too, as much as having an awesome fucking back pump is cool, and it totally is, it's not necessarily conducive to really good back posing. Like when my back is fully pumped, I actually can't even really spread it as wide as normal, because with something like chest, when I have a chest pump, every chest pose is extra cool because my chest is just physically bigger, right? It's just fucking beefier, like, it's inflated. But with back, when it's fully pumped, my whole back gets a bit tenser, which happens to all muscles. If you've ever had a serious quad pump and then you try to squat down, your quads are literally going to fight you because they're so like tense now that to even bend them and stretch them, it's a bit more difficult. So when my back is fully pumped up, cool as it may be, it's trickier for me to really open up in a back lat spread. So that's where, if you're up on a bodybuilding stage, maybe you're not going to fully pump up your back in your, few minutes prior to stepping on stage. That's where you're going to kind of focus on keeping it nice and loose, so when you do a lat spread, you can actually really open it up all the way, if you catch my drift there. But don't, let's be real, don't take that as me complaining about a fucking badass back pump, right? That's an observation. That is not a gripe. No chance. But yeah, so back is gonna be able to take some time off. So back days may kind of be slightly converted into some of my active rest days. Like, I'm still gonna do some back, of course, but I might just do only, I mean, fuck. I might just make my back days like 2 sets or something. Just to get some stimulation, but nothing too crazy, you know? But I definitely do want to get some more direct forearm work consistently in the routine. Because there's something to be said about having some beefy ass fucking forearms. And I can already feel it now. I mean, even just from, because you gotta remember, I just gained 10 pounds of intramuscular fucking water. Now that's glycogen, so water and carbs. That's kind of what makes up your fucking fullness in your muscles per se. But that is a fucking lot of fluids. And even just having the initial kind of refeed, I guess that's the only word for it, kind of refeed, rehydration in a sense. I can feel that my fucking forearms are already bigger just looking at them. But I kind of want this bottom part to be, I mean, I could never say Lee Priest-esque, you know, the goddamn king of forearms, but I do want mine to be a bit bigger. It just makes you look cool too, you know? So I think some direct forearm work is gonna come into play. So when it comes to rest days and just your training intensity in general, these are the only comments that turn my stomach around. These are the only comments that kind of irk me a bit. And it's the comments that say, well, you're not going to be able to recover if you train that hard. Dude, the natural guy cannot recover if you really train to failure for a whole workout. You're not going to be able to recover from that. What are you fucking talking about, dude? You know, that's like, you're just setting yourself up for fucking failure before you've even gone to the gym, you know? Because I think 99% of the times that I see that comment perpetuated, where it's like, you can't train this hard. You're not going to be able to recover from this. It's not coming from people who have actually trained like as hard as they fucking could and then couldn't recover. It's just people kind of repeating the same jargon that they hear over and over again, you know? If you actually take a week and you seriously lock in and every lift that you do, you push it to your absolute fucking max of intensity, and I'm not talking about weights, you know, I could go in tomorrow for my arm day and only do like single arm push downs, light squeezing, and like 40-pound dumbbell curls, and I could make those sets fucking crazy intense. You know, it's not about the weight, it's just about the intensity of the sets. But if you took a week and you seriously trained as hard as you could, and then you said, dude, I'm not gonna be able to fucking recover from this, then that's a different story, you know? The whole point of lifting, because I think it's a little bit unfortunate, but there is kind of a grace period before you're actually used to the stimulus of working out. You know, I was a bit of so when I was lifting in the beginning and I was doing my 25 set workouts, way too much volume, I would bring my brother in a few times and I'd have him do the same workouts I was doing. And I was doing way too much fucking volume, but I was kind of used to it, so I could still, you know, do that day in, day out. But he had never really worked out like that before, and I had him do like a full, massive, like 25 set chest day. In hindsight, I don't know what I was thinking, but whatever. It killed him, you know, because I mean, for anybody to have gone from zero training, no weight training, to a hard day of, like a hard chest day or a hard back day, or definitely an actually hard leg day if you push yourself, that's going to be a massive fucking stress in your body, which you're not used to. Now, I say stress, but, you know, not like sickness, but you've done some damage and your body now has to kick it into overdrive and start to recover. But yeah, if you're a beginner, you know, you don't have to fucking make sure every set is nose bleeding, screams, maximum exertion. But once you've been lifting for a few months, you're used to it now. You know, you no longer feel like crippled, sore. Because yeah, if you've never lifted before and you have a really good hard chest day as a real beginner, yeah, that's gonna fucking hit you like a fucking bus. If you do push, pull, legs, like if you're a total newbie and you have one of your buddies who works out, takes you through 3 days of push, pull, legs, yeah, that's probably gonna take a while to fucking recover from. But once you've recovered from it and you're ready to do it again, your recovery period probably just got cut in fucking half, you know, because your body is going to adapt to this new stimulus. It always does. That's the reason why, you know, what we call kind of newbie gains are so sort of, let's just say prevalent as a beginner, is the fact that you're not used to this stimulus at all. It's completely new to you. So it's going to be the most fucking stimulating. So yeah, as a beginner, of course, I still think lift hard, rest until you're recovered, and then come back and do it again. But the idea that you should limit your intensity of the workout before you've even seen what you can actually handle seems so fucking silly to me, man. I mean, it's you're trying to fucking, you're cutting off your potential before you even start, you know? In no way have I ever, even as a fucking beginner natural guy, in no way have I ever thought to myself, oh, I should probably go easy because I'm not going to be able to recover from this well. Dude, that is a fucking, that is a lame mentality. That is a lame mentality, right? In my mind, what I would recommend is, if you're going to do whatever, you know, routine, push, pull, legs, Arnold split style, whatever, you've got your week-long split, hit every muscle group twice a week. That's pretty much the basic guideline that I would say is a good approach. And you can do it in all sorts of different ways. If you wanted to do hamstrings and triceps, quads and biceps, whatever. As long as you're hitting everything twice a week, I think that's totally fucking fine. But I think it's a flawed mentality to limit your intensity because you don't know what you can recover from. And just saying like, well, I don't think I'm not going to be able to recover without even trying. Oh, come on. Right. So you have to remember the actual workout, you in the gym doing these working sets for your hour, 30 minutes, whatever. I mean, today's back day for me was only 30 minutes just because it was not that much volume. But for that period of time that you're in the gym, that's the only fucking variable that's going to stimulate your body to say, dude, I got to start fucking depositing some new protein onto my lats. They just got hit hard, man. They got to be able to come back bigger and stronger. So if you don't give yourself a stress that's adequate enough to actually stimulate a recovery response, then nothing's going to happen. You're not going to get bigger. You're not going to get stronger, you know, and then you're just going to keep lifting the same 150 pounds on the lat pull down for 10 reps, racking it before you've even come close to failure, and you know, you're not going to see any results. For the most part, I think the primary limiter of people's gains is going to be their diet, you know, not being able to eat enough food to facilitate weight gain. That's a pretty big fucking factor. But as time progresses, if your diet is on point, but your training isn't the most fucking intense and stimulating, then even if you've got enough calories to fucking gain weight, you're not really going to see the best results either, you know? So it's kind of the fucking trifecta of gains. You're eating, you're sleeping, and you're training. So you want those all to be fucking in sync, man. I'm talking like I don't know what you're talking about. This is the real 3-body problem, right? Maximizing your training intensity, your sleep quality, and depending on if you're trying to bulk up or diet down, your calorie intake. Now this has its own details, of course, but that's the basic. Why do you think so many shirts of guys in the gyms from every fucking gym probably has somebody eat, sleep, train, repeat? Those are the basics, man. If you train hard and you eat hard, well, if you're training hard and you're eating hard, then you're probably just going to need to go to sleep, you know. But if those 3 things are in tune, then you're good to go, man. I say go as hard as you fucking can. And for the most part, that might not even be as hard as you can go, you know. Your body doesn't necessarily want, my body probably doesn't want me to squat 5 plates on the Smith machine until I feel like I'm going to pass out. I think it would rather just sit and chill, you know. So it's always going to be fighting against you, you know. The pain and the discomfort of pushing yourself hard in a working set, that's always going to be a factor which is going to keep you from going too hard, right? If you were to somehow connect somebody's quad with like electro, you know, neuron stimulating needles or whatever, so that you could like manually flex their quad with a computer and take it to absolute failure on like a leg extension, the dude could probably get an extra 10 reps. Like the guy's muscle is physically capable of getting 10 reps beyond failure what the guy could actually do with his own brain power, you know, because your body's like, dude, stop doing this shit, Right? Now you're pumping out lactic acid. You're getting deoxygenated. We can't keep doing this. You know. So what that tells me is, as hard as I can even go, as hard as I can push myself, I can always go harder. You can always do more. You know, it gets a little trickier with or it gets a little bit more clear cut with your basic, like, heavy compound movements. You know, if I do like a crazy heavy squat and I barely make that last rep, I barely make it. I mean, I guess I'd be curious to see, but I really don't think I'd be able to get another rep, no matter what sort of motivation or, you know, chemical fucking, or not chemical, but like electrical stimulate. Like, I don't think my quads would be capable of doing another one, you know. Whereas with things like side laterals or light squeezing leg extensions, or the only thing that's stopping me from doing more reps is like, oh fuck, dude, this burns. That's where I think, as hard as you can go, you're going to be able to recover from it, you know? But that's something that I would want you to find out for yourself. And the same goes with everything. Honestly, experience is the greatest fucking teacher of all. You know, so if you just listen to somebody and they're talking about whatever, they're saying this and that about your training and like what works and what doesn't and what's going to feel good and what's going to feel... those are just words, right? Those are just words, whatever. For you to actually go through the process of trying things out in your own training, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, getting your own results, coming to your own conclusions, that's where the real fucking enlightened lifter is born, you know? Because who cares what anybody else says? If you're making gains, if the movements that you're doing are stimulating the muscle that you're aiming for, you're taking yourself pretty close to fucking failure, or you at least know that you're training intensely. You know you're going hard for real, and you're not lying to yourself about it, and you're growing. Dude, that's fucking perfect, man, you know? That's what every fucking lifter is looking for. Apart from the guys who are satisfied with where they're at and they're just maintaining their build, if you're looking for progress and you're getting it, A fucking plus, man, right? Keep going. And odds are, once you've gotten into the lifting for at least 2 years or so, no, that's not even, I don't even want to make it sound like there's a barrier. Once you've lifted for a while and you've got a pretty good grasp of what you're doing and you like it, it's just a fucking upward spiral from there, because you're constantly going to be thinking about it, and you're going to be listening to dudes, and you're going to come to the gym and see someone do a certain kind of movement, or you're going to see somebody do a certain superset of like machine press into dumbbell flies or whatever. And just by being in the space, both when you're in the gym and when you're fucking at home, because your phone is always showing you fitness stuff, you're just going to gradually get more and more knowledgeable about it, you know? So don't stress it if you don't feel like you have all the answers yet. Half the shit just kind of comes to you passively, you know? So don't stress too hard, right? The only thing that I think really separates guys who make serious long-term gains and the guys who don't are the ones who train the hardest and go consistently. So that's my finishing statement there. But plan tomorrow, an egregiously pumped arm day, 30 minutes of cardio in the morning, of course. I might have to bring you along for that just to really show it to you. I feel like I'm trying to do mind control, you know? The more often that you say something, and the more often that somebody hears the same kind of phrase said over and over again, eventually it just sticks, you know? So 30 minutes cardio, very good. It's no need to get any deeper into it than that right now. But I'll see you tomorrow for arms. Nasty back day. We're one step closer to 280, goddammit. Not that so I don't have a specific number goal. Right? This bulking phase, I just want to get as heavy as I can with a consistent rate of growth. You know, if I hit 270 and I'm eating 6,000 calories in like 4 months, and I can't break 270 for like a month and a half, then that's just as much as I'm going to be able to grow to. And I'm going to be able to say, I did as much as I could, I got my diet reasonably on point, let's diet down and repeat. Or let's diet down and get into prep for show number 1. Ooh. Nothing solidified there yet. That's TBD. That's TBD, but that is the plan. So keep your ears open. I'll update you as soon as there's anything to update you with. But I think that's all I got. So I will see you tomorrow. I feel like I'm in Florida right now. It was raining all morning, and now it's 90 degrees. I'm in a gosh dang sauna. But take the positive, increase blood flow. So, plan for today's arm day. I think you could predict it. I think you could probably just predict it at this point, because it's really nothing too wild, right? Triceps first, combination of rope, straight bar style pushdowns, single arm D handle pushdowns, and then machine dips. And then, I probably won't even go too bananas heavy either, because for as many heavy sets as I do, like for as many, you know, attaching two cable stacks together onto one handle and then doing push downs like that, for as many sets like that, I think you've got to have an equal amount of, lighter squeezing sets where you kind of hit failure in just a different fucking style. Personally, I think I tend towards those heavier, harder sets, probably subconsciously just because they're easier for me. you know for me to sit on a let's just take leg extensions for example. For me to sit on the leg extension machine and do a weight that's so heavy I can only get 12 reps and then I'm at failure, that set is over in 12 reps. Whereas, if I put the weight to something where I can do 30 reps really slow, really controlled, and fucking burning my ass off, I'm sitting there, that's fucking killing me. So that's part of me is thinking I'm missing out on some stimulus because I only do the sets that I like to do, like those. Whereas some of the slower, longer burning ones are kind of getting a little bit neglected in a way. But all of triceps first, followed by all of biceps. Really just because when I'm bulking up, I kind of really lean a bit more towards the idea of totally thrashing one muscle group before moving on to the next one. Because another kind of thing that'll happen, at least with arms for me, is when I'm like actually fully carved up and hydrated, if I'm doing tricep, bicep, and at the end of the workout my whole arm is fucking pumped, it's just too much. Like it's literally, I say that like a negative. I do like it, but it kind of takes away from my ability to focus, Like if you're multitasking, I almost kind of feel like you're giving each task less attention than just focusing on all of one at once and then all of the other one. So for arms, I'm a bit more lenient. I don't mind a supersetted style arm day. For legs, I'm much more strict. You're not really going to catch me do, at least not often, hamstring sets, then quad sets, and hamstring sets. Back and forth like that. Just because it's kind of the same logic. I feel like by splitting up your focus onto two different muscle groups, you're getting the worst of both worlds, Like when I'm actually doing my working sets, I'm trying my best not to lose my pump while I'm actually doing that one movement. If I'm halfway through a back day and then, I'm talking to somebody and they really want to talk for, 10 minutes and I can't get away, well, actually, I don't really let that happen now, but let's say you're talking for like 10 minutes mid-back day, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose your pump, you're going to stop sweating, your heart rate's going to drop down to a normal baseline, right? Like I can imagine you've got your normal baseline heart rate, and then you've got your mid-workout baseline heart rate. So me just sitting around, like sleeping, I'm rocking around like 55 beats a minute, walking around more like 80, and then working out, which is kind of cool. I get to track all this shit now. The baseline's more like 100, 110. So mid-set, I might get up to like 150, but then it comes back down. If I let it drop down to like 80 or 60 or whatever, then I'm out of the zone, So if you're going back and forth between muscle groups, I wouldn't want to do a tricep workout where I have like 6 minutes of rest in between some of the sets, So really, I'm just trying to say I like doing them all at once and then moving on, right? Finish your dinner before you have dessert, kind of approach there. But I think that's all I got to say. Let's just get warmed up, and then I can't even really predict what the first tricep movement's going to be. I guess we're both going to find out together. So let's get in there. Maybe I should have busted out the measuring tape. Honestly, see what the pumped arm measurement would have been. It's, I don't know. That one had to have at least begun to approach 20. Who's to say? Maybe save that for later. Save that for next arm day before we get some actual measurements going. But overall, quite the arm day. And apart from the machine dips were pretty heavy, and that finishing set was pretty heavy. But for biceps, like man, 55s at the most. And it was really just mainly that work with the 50. Very nice. I could have done that arm day at home. That was one of my, I mean, that bicep workout was fucking killer. And all I needed was a 50-pound dumbbell. I could have just done it with a pair of the 50s. And that would have been it. You know, maybe I should do another home gym arm day if they're going to be so simple. But yeah, don't feel the need to overcomplicate it too much. And arms gets a little bit of a bad rap, unfortunately, just because of its simplicity. Because that's the only real gripe I hear. You know, everybody loves chest. Everybody loves back. Most people don't like legs, but at least the people who do like legs like the fact that it's like, you know, you get to go heavy on squats. It's just, you know, it's kind of cool. But arms and shoulders, people kind of, I think, at least the general consensus that I've noticed is people say it's boring. You know, people say, oh, well, all you do is just a bunch of push downs and a bunch of curls. Oh, it's nothing fun. What are you fucking talking about? You know, I mean, that might be your experience. But as far as I'm concerned, if all I have to do is some push downs and curls, then that just means that I don't have to think about anything else except for the sets that are sitting in front of me. You know, with chest, I got to change gears. I got to load up a bunch of weight on a barbell, or pick up some dumbbells and like throw them up into position. There's a lot of kind of moving parts there. Whereas with arms, if you gave me one really heavy cable stack, a couple of attachments, and then a rack of dumbbells, it's really all I would need for arms. You know, of course, I like preacher curl machines. I like what else? Like I like dip machines. I really like overhead tricep extension machines. Um, I'm not sure why they're so sparse in the gyms around here that I go to. Maybe maybe gotta find a Craigslist one and get it like delivered or something. But you know, as long as the movements that you're doing are hitting your targeted muscle in its entirety, don't feel like you have to do fucking 30 different movements in one workout. That's one comment that I'm sure I'll even get on this workout today. It's like, you only did 2 movements for biceps. In one of those movements, you only did 1 set. Sam, that's not a complete workout. What are you doing? You may as well have stayed home and not even done it. I'm not so inclined to agree. I'm not so inclined to agree. I mean, I've had arm days where all I do is like just straight bar pushdowns heavy, 8 sets, whatever. Apologies. And then I move on to the dumbbell rack and I just, kind of go down the rack doing curls. Like start with something heavy. And then after a set of like, let's say I did the 70s for 10, I probably can't do the 70s for 10 again. So I just drop to the 60s, maybe get like 60s for 11 or 12 or so, and then grab the 50s and maybe stay at the 50s for a while for the next few sets. I mean, I'm going to have a nasty arm pump regardless. Don't get too, well, don't get any FOMO that you're not adequately targeting the short head of your bicep and the long head of your, as long as you, with biceps especially, triceps is a little bit of a different story, but with biceps, don't get too freaked out about like, okay, well, I need to really target my brachialis with this set, and I need to really kind of target my bicep curls are pretty simple, man. No matter what kind of curl that I do, I feel most of my fucking bicep working. Now, sometimes I do like specific movements, just because maybe if I've done some kind of heavier dumbbell curls at first, I might want to do something where I can actually kind of feel the outer like peak per se, kind of firing. So then I might do some underhand bicep bias pull downs with the straight bar, or I might do kind of cross body curls like this, where I hold like just the 20s and really burn out like that. But don't be, picking the right exercises is not going to be as beneficial for you gains wise as just going hard on all the exercises that you do, and keeping them simple. So no need for any kind of fancy pants, real, multiple moving parts, different kind of Arnold press style. Come on, a basic set of heavy dumbbell curls, some heavy push downs, or some lighter squeezing push downs like the start of the tricep workout today. And if my biceps weren't so destroyed, I probably would have done a set of lighter squeezing bicep curls to finish, probably on the incline bench. Oh, but half of that's up to personal preference. Some guys might not love, they might not even like dumbbell curls at all. Maybe you're a fucking easy bar curl fan, ride or die, and you love doing fucking easy bar curls. Yeah, do it, man. As long as you're building your biceps, I'm not going to knock you. Now, if you're not, if you're plateaued and then I may be a little bit more critical, a little more critical per se. Maybe you're not maybe I can tell all your sets are RPE 5 at the max. And we've all seen it. We've all seen it where they're in the gym, they're working out, and let's just say they're not really reaching a very high level of exertion, which inherently per se, it's not a crime. It's not a crime not to go hard in the gym. Nobody's gonna come knocking on your door and say, you had 10 reps left, put your hands behind your back. But if your actual goal, and you're kind of saying this to yourself, it's like, I'm going to the gym because I want to get results and I want to push myself hard. The benefits, the underlying maybe kind of hidden benefits that you get from becoming proficient in the gym in the long term, I'm talking just getting more comfortable with your own body. You get kind of just from doing anything physical on a consistent basis that requires actual effort and exertion, that's just going to be an overall confidence booster. Now, I'm no psychologist, so I can't necessarily explain in detail why that is, but it definitely is a fucking factor. But all the fucking cool parts of working out and being a lifter, those come in tandem with your responsibility to actually push yourself. So you can go to the gym on a consistent basis, but if you're not really putting in effort once you're there, you're just kind of meandering around, I think, at least. So I think that's my finishing point for today. You've always got more in the tank, more intensity, more dedication, more hype. It's always in there. It's just up to you to draw it out. But plan for tomorrow, well, plan for tonight, get the rest of my meals in, have a good night's rest, cardio in the morning, and then a nasty ass leg day tomorrow. Ugh. Nasty ass leg day tomorrow. Potentially a nap, honestly, after I get home and eat whatever I end up eating. I'm fucking sleepy. I'm sure you're gonna see an increase in yawns. I'm always yawning when I'm bulking after a workout just because I'm sleepy. I need my rest. So, cardio, legs tomorrow, a reasonable amount of carbs, fats, and proteins in between, and then we're well on track to becoming one step closer to being a real fucking behemoth, a real goddamn muscle monolith. So, I'll see you tomorrow for legs, which, I can't guarantee it, but I'm 90% sure it's going to be a nasty fucking leg day. So I'll see you then. Alright, it is confirmed. It's fucking smoking hot outside today. I'm even just sitting in the car with the AC, I'm already going to have sweat marks before I even get fucking started. Now, part of that is also because now that I'm full of fucking food, if you were not aware, even just breaking down like carbs and fats and proteins, there's a bit of a thermogenic effect. So I'm let's just say I'm most prone to, I guess what you kind of just call fucking meat sweats. The more food that I eat, to the point where me and a group of guys went to watch Into the Spider-Verse, or whichever one the second one was. I was bulking at the time, and we get up, and my entire backside, I'm talking legs to shoulders, was was like completely soaked. Oh man, yeah, must wasn't getting enough ventilation with those leather AMC seats. But just another, well, I guess that's another selling point. Maybe it isn't the best move to bulk during the summertime, but I'm still under the opinion, I'm under the impression that to dictate the times when you should do anything fitness related is a little bit of a hindrance. It's a little bit of a hindrance to your actual, at least in general, to the general lifter's ability to lock into something. Because let's say it's right now. It's not mid-June. Oh, I was fucking bumping out in the motorcycle. But nearly the end of June. January, February, March, April, May, June. Dude, this year is halfway over. Have you been grinding? That's my obligatory 6 months deep into the year reference. Half the year already gone, man. But mid-June, if the lifter who is on the verge of like, okay, should I start bulking up now or should I start cutting down now? He's going to be a little bit swayed based on just the season, because he's probably going to say, well, I don't know, it's already like the middle of the summer. I don't know. If I start dieting right now, then, well, I'm not even going to be lean and going to be able to enjoy it. But if I don't want to start bulking up, I don't want to put on any extra body fat. I mean, it's still summertime. I'm still going to be going out to the pool. Whatever, whatever, honestly, right? So if that's you, just pick one. Pick one and stick to it. Because odds are, if you've been main gaining for long enough, then if you're at the point where okay, I want to make a move here. I want to either start bulking up or I want to start cutting down. I got to pick one. You need to pick one. You need to just pick. Flip a coin. It doesn't matter. Indecision. Right? In an instance like this, that is the wrong decision. Right? You're not going to be wrong to start bulking up seriously, and you're not going to be wrong to start dieting down seriously and get leaner for a little while. There is no wrong choice. There's only a choice. Right? The only wrong choice would be not to pick either of them, and then you're just going to maintain the same physique that you've had for the last 6 months. You're not making any noticeable gains. You're not really focusing so much on your progressive overload. The last thing that I want anybody to be able to say is, I've been working out for about 6 months now. I'm the exact same size, strength, and body fat percentage that it was in the beginning. Because all that means is all your training has only been going towards maintaining where you are, not progressing to where you want to be. So, if that's you, if you're on the fritz, if you're dangling on the edge, you're like, oh man, do I do it? Do I start to bulk up? You know what? I say yes. I say yes, God damn it. Right? If you're looking for any external sign on whether you should start bulking up or not, here it is. Yes. Right? Get that bulk fucking started right now. I'm talking, get some packages of rice, get some Quaker's instant oats. I've been slamming those. I'm talking probably like 10 or so packs per day. 4 for breakfast, and then the rest kind of spread sporadically. But yes, start your bulk now. Yeah, gosh dang it. But plan for me, with today's leg day, I may go a little bit lighter. I may not do so much heavy loading today, because I can tell my lower back's a little sore. Not in like an actual injured kind of way, but in a way where I'm definitely noticing a little. So if I were to continue to keep doing, my crazy heavy squats leg day after leg day after leg day, the damage may add up. Not that I think I'm on any track towards like a, slip disc or anything, but that's something to keep an eye on. So no crazy heavy loading, but I'll see what I end up picking. So instead of really heavy Smith machine, maybe I just start off with a few more sets of leg extensions, And then once I'm already exhausted, or at least my quads are exhausted, then maybe I'll just slam some lighter Smith squats. Or maybe, what? Or maybe, oh, well, I'm definitely going to superset a ton of body weight sissy squats, that's for sure. But in either case, I know my quads are going to get wrecked. And I know I keep saying that I'm going to be doing more pressing volume, which I am. But on a lighter quad day like this, where I'm not so focused on trying to load up a crazy amount of weight, I'm not particularly concerned that there's going to be a good amount of leg extension volume. Because, don't get me wrong. Of course, I'm trying to say, right, I need some more pressing. It's just a different stimulation. That is in no way a rip. That is not a dig on leg extensions. Honestly, if I only had one movement to do for legs for the rest of my life, well, hamstring curls included, I'm going to have to pick the leg extension machine. In terms of just overall feeling for me, leg extensions get top spot. But that's basically tied with squats. They're good together. Right? They're good separate, but they're best together. So hamstrings first, quads second, and then some adductor and calves at the end to finish it off. This will be a perfect fucking leg day. I'm almost certain I'm going to be completely drenched in sweat because, and I don't know what it is about this gym in particular, but no matter how cold it is outside, it's always just a touch. Well, it doesn't even feel warm. I just always end up sweating it. Maybe the air is a little bit less stagnant. They need to get the fans blown. I couldn't tell you for sure, but fast forward probably an hour and a half, hour 45 from right now, this shirt is going to be completely dark gray. Let's just cut to that first set of hamstring curls. Potentially not the most destructive leg day that I've ever done, but certainly a productive one. I would go so far as to say. Hamstrings, definitely. That fucking, yeah, those RDLs are fucking sweet. This is something that's a little bit of a benefit towards the bulking side of things. It's that when you're fully fucking carved up, you're walking around all day with an actual, full stomach, you've got more than enough food in your system to fucking, energize and power your training. Things are just gonna fucking click for you, man. Like let's just say the ease of pump basically doubles when you're full of fucking carbs and you're really just in a fed bulk state, so to the point where after those RDLs my lower back was so fucking pumped up. Oh my goodness. That's kind of so that's sort of half the reason right there why I'm not like a massive RDL fan, or at least why I haven't been historically. And it's because doing RDLs before heavy pressing for legs, RDLs totally fucking wreck my lower back. Not in like an injury way, but in like a fucking, fatigued, pumped kind of way, right? I'm not going to be able to put 5 plates comfortably on my back if my lower back is completely fucking pumped from doing heavy RDLs beforehand. So that's what makes me think I may kind of do a little bit of a back and forth style as legs progresses. But I think what that really is telling me is I need to get my hands on a fucking pit shark. That's essentially a belt squat, but the weight is it's on a pendulum, not on a cable. There's this one squat machine at the hosstile gym that I really fucking loved when I got to go over there. It was like just this massive fucking apparatus where there's like a pivot point like 6 feet that way. The pad is on my shoulder, and then the weight is loaded right in the middle. And I'm not sure you know how leverages and torques work, but when you're squatting on a barbell and you've got 500 pounds on your back, when you squat down, you feel every fucking pound of those 500. But when you're on something like one of those squat machines, I I forget what they're called. I don't even. There's kind of a newer, fancy like Panada version, I think. It's kind of. I never see that piece of equipment anywhere. But since the weight is in the middle of this pendulum, right between where this bar is rotating from and where the weight is actually rests on my shoulders, I'm only feeling half of the weight of it. And when I move down in the squat, let's say I move down 3 feet, my shoulders go down 3 feet, the weight itself only goes down 1.5 feet. So that's the same logic as to why a cable machine, like the cable stacks where you do like chest flies and everything, those are gonna feel different than like the cable of a pull down, because for every foot that you pull a pull down cable, right, the weight is gonna go up a foot. So it feels like you're just pulling a legitimate fucking weight, like out in the air, free motion. But with the cables and with any machine where the weight is essentially, let's say you've got higher than normal leverage on the weight, the tension is a little bit more constant because you're not building up any momentum. Like if you've ever seen somebody do nasty bent over dumbbell rows, you would know that they sit there and they might like rip the weight up and really get it started moving to the bottom, and then they get to kind of ride the momentum up. So at the top of the rep, they're not even really squeezing, you know. So that's why I kind of lean towards, if I'm going to do any kind of single arm rowing action, I lean towards doing single arm cable rows on like the cable stack where you would do push downs and curls. Because as I'm sitting there doing a one arm row, even if I do kind of faster reps, I don't actually build up any momentum in the weight. Like if you're on a leg extension and you slam the weight up really quick, the cable stack flies up in the air for a second before it comes back down. On a cable stack, like for push downs and curls, you can't actually do that. So there's just much more constant tension. So, take notice next time you're at the gym, if you haven't really thought about this before. Feel how the lat pull down moves, and then feel how one of the cables move. Right? It's just a little bit different. And the more you work out, the more you're actually just gonna get it. So that's just something. So getting back to what I was saying, a pitch shark or a belt squat, the real fucking badass benefit with those is you get quad stimulation, heavy loading, without any fucking force being directed straight through your spine. If you've got a bad lower back, a belt squat's perfect for you. The only problem for me is none of my gyms around here actually have one. So that's where I think I might need to branch out and add an additional membership, get a gym that has a belt squat, because then I can get over here fucking really overload my quads without having to worry about over fatiguing my my lower back and my whole kind of support system up here. The last few weeks, my left, I think it's my left shoulder blade or something, whenever I do like barbell based squats, like whenever I do squats where there's a bar on my back, it kind of hurts my left side a little bit, not in like an injury kind of way, but more in just like a kind of a cold soreness sort of way, because I think I was doing Smith machine squats one day like a month ago, and I kind of relaxed my back a little bit. I'm not sure if you know what your back kind of looks like when you're squatting, but you almost turn it into a cushion by really like retracting your shoulder blades and your traps and everything. So the bar isn't actually pushing on your spine or your shoulder blades, it's just pushing on like your rear delts and your mid traps and everything else. I was doing a squat and I got a little bit relaxed in my warm up, and I let all the weight sort of grind right up against my fucking shoulder blade, kind of like I hit my funny bone or something. But little things like that, right? Let's say you got a bum shoulder. I mean, I knew a guy who he totally wrecked his rotator cuff. He was doing overhead shoulder press, and he like let the weight get behind him. So the dude was just doing legs forever. He was doing tons of safety squat bar squats. But I'm sure if the gym that we were training at together, or at least the one that he went to, if it had a belt squat, his ass would be on the belt squat all fucking day, because he doesn't have to worry about overloading his fucking his fucking shoulders with that much weight. So anytime you've got anything, let's just say troublesome up top in your torso, a belt squat would be fucking perfect. So I'm just saying this from observation. I've never really done any working sets on like a belt squat or a pitch shark. I really need to. I keep seeing videos of Chris Bumstead doing the pitch shark, and I get jealous because I don't have one. But What else did I have to say? That's pretty much it. But lighter quad day, just kind of burn out, nasty pump work. Nothing too overloading. But hamstrings was really good. And I don't know what's going on, but like the RDLs are actually starting to feel really good now. Like if you've lifted for a while where now you can really like manually flex your chest when you're doing chest presses, then you remember a time when you would bench and you couldn't actually like manually flex your pecs when you're doing it. That's how I feel about hamstrings right now. Like hamstring RDLs are really kicking in. I don't know what I changed. Maybe it's just from doing it a little bit more often. But yeah, those are definitely going to be a staple in the hamstring routine. And I feel them way differently than I do from regular hamstring curls, which is to be expected. A cable fly is going to feel far different than like a bench press, even though you're working the exact same muscle group. So that's an instance where, for whatever given muscle, your actual exercise selection, I don't think is too critical. Right? I'm going to have a chest day if I do incline dumbbell bench, and I'm going to have a good chest day if I do incline machine press as like the primary mover. But going about each muscle group in basically every reasonably conceivable way that you can, I think that's going to be more of something you should actually focus on. Right? If someone's chest day was all heavy pressing, I might be kind of concerned, like, where's the flies? Where's your deep stretch flies, man? Where's your decline flies on the cables? What's going on here? And if somebody's back day was all pull downs, I'd say, dude, what's going on? Where are your rows, right? So that's where I'm getting a little bit more in tune with my training, because historically, I look at my leg days and I think, dude, all leg extensions only? What's going on here? Or no, all leg extensions only. That's perfectly fine. I'm making sure I get some more pressing in on the regular. And then with hamstrings, as much as I love hamstring curls, yeah, I can almost guarantee that these added RDL sets are going to give me a difference in the look of the hamstrings, primarily being their fucking size. So plan now, go home, probably have a half pound of steak, maybe probably do about 150 grams of minute rice straight out of the microwave. I'm talking 5 minutes with a paper towel on top so that when the water starts boiling, it doesn't bubble all over the place. A variety of teriyaki sauce and barbecue sauce to keep things interesting. And then a ton of fucking water. Oh shit, I've actually kind of dried off a little bit. But there was a lot of perspiration going on today. So I got to make up for that. And not only on the fluid side of things, but also on the fucking electrolyte side of things, man. I hope you've got a good realization. When you sweat, that's not just water leaving your body. That's water and electrolytes. Right? I'm talking sodium, magnesium, lifteresium, every electrolyte there is. It's getting leached out of you. Right? Come on, you got to replenish that stuff. So electrolyte packets, add some salt to your pre, anything. As long as, your high fluid intake is being matched with a good electrolyte array, then you're golden. Then you're fucking golden. And not only is that just going to make you feel better and train harder and get better pumps, it's going to stop you from having those fucking headaches, man. I can guarantee, and this is kind of from my own sort of, not three, what do they call it? Not a triple blind study, but every time I talk to somebody and they've got a headache in the gym, or anybody who has a headache at all, I pretty much always fucking ask them, how much water did you drink today? Did you have any fucking electrolytes? I mean, the guy might have had like a coffee in the morning, or like some orange juice or something. Dude, not cool. As cliche as it is, you gotta be carrying around that empty gallon milk jug of fucking water on the regular. Because the reason I'm gonna tell you to do that is it's gonna improve your lifts, but just in general, man, it's gonna improve your life. If somebody has a nasty ass headache for 4 hours, how often are you even awake during the daytime? Let's say you got a lot of sleep, 8 hours. That's 16 hours left. If you've got a nasty ass headache for 4 hours, let's say even just 2 hours, that's what is that? That's like 10% of your day in complete fucking discomfort. If you can minimize that, that can be a pretty serious fucking game changer to your overall enjoyment. I know if I've got a pretty nasty headache for a while, which I haven't had for a fucking long time because I've been on my shit about my hydration. But if I were to have a nasty ass headache, that would be like the primary fucking negative thing of the day. Like, fuck, dude. And if I've got a nasty headache when working out, which I've had before, dude, it sucks. Not only does it suck because it just feels like shit, but also you're not even gonna be able to push yourself that hard. If you've got a real headache and you try in your workout is a leg day and you're about to start squatting, dude, it feels like your fucking brain is gonna explode. So you tell me, would you rather deal with slamming a bunch of water all day, or would you rather deal with fucking nasty ass exertion headaches, which are gonna ruin your pump, ruin your mood, and really just add to an overall sense of negativity related to the gym in total? Right? Don't give yourself too much credit. If you're uncomfortable in the gym on a consistent basis, your brain will take a note of that. And eventually it's going to come to the conclusion, dude, stop going. This sucks. You don't like this. This hurts you. Don't do that. So as motivated as you can be, that little nagging kind of subconscious itch to keep you in a comfortable state, that's going to come into play, So everything that you can do in your power to be in your most comfortable, I don't want to say relaxed because you shouldn't be really that relaxed when you're actually working out, but comfortable, engaged state during your workouts, and hopefully enjoyable. That's going to be what you're aiming for. So that's the last of my little 2 cents there. Drink your water, get your sleep, take your pre-workout. You know the drill. So cardio in the morning, freaky chest day tomorrow, and that's pretty much all there is to say. God dang it. So I'll see you then. Yeah, I'm having a little, I wouldn't call it an existential crisis, but there's a gym that's a bit closer than the one that I'm actually going to head to today. And that workout would consist of, incline Smith machine, incline bench, and then there's some cables that I like. But there's something about, like, it's just, I think it's just the flat hammer strength chest press at the Metro that I like. I can't stop doing it. It's like my new favorite fucking pressing movement. I still like heavy incline Smith, of course, but that machine press is like just fucking killer. I'm talking solid stretch, really crazy squeeze. I mean, it's just fucking sweet. So that's a bit of the logic into why I go to specific gyms for specific days. Some gyms have shit that other gyms don't. So I think I'm gonna make the extra 10-minute trek over there and get chest started. Now, in an ideal situation, of course, your gym is so fucking badass that it has every conceivable machine from every manufacturer, hitting every muscle from every possible angle. But that's not totally fucking necessary, Like as picky as I am, that's kind of already just because I've got a couple memberships at my disposal. I mean, I've gone summers at a time, or well, not specific to the summer, but my kind of routine after I do street paint is I go straight to the Planet Fitness. So I'm fucked, man. I've had months of just Planet Fitness straight training. I would not necessarily blame the gym, but I am picky enough now where I want to go to this specific place because they've got this specific machine. What really sucks is one of the gyms that's closer to me, their leg extension has become unusable. I'm talking it's fucking come apart at the frame to the point where you've seen me kind of jerry rig some cable equipment where like the actual handle that you can hook attachments to on the cable has broke off, and I've like kind of tied the cable into itself so I can do like push downs and stuff like that. Obviously at my own risk, but there's a point where some machines are beyond actual usability. So it kind of sucks because the lead time that they said until they get a new leg extension is going to be like 4 months minimum. Not awesome. But this gym has fucking 5 leg extensions, so that kind of makes up for it. But plan for chest altogether, same as normal. Not that I think, because of course there is no workout, there is no perfect workout, but my chest days that I like always look pretty similar. There's little nuance changes, but for the most part, as long as I'm strong, everything feels good. This is what my chest days usually look like. I'm talking maybe 3 to 4 really heavy pressing sets in the beginning. That's those are the starting sets pretty much. And after that, I kind of get to use my own discretion. After, at this point, after about 3 sets of heavy pressing, now that could all be incline bench, or I could do like a set of incline Smiths, say I don't like it, then do an incline dumbbell or whatever. After about 3 or 4 sets of heavy pressing, then I'll typically transition to either flies, maybe 2 or 3 sets of flies, and after those flies, then finish off with maybe 3 or 2 sets of lighter squeezing pressing. And that's a very different kind of approach. And what I mean by that is, like, when I think of the different ways you can hit your chest, I'd say you've got heavy pressing, you've got lighter squeezing based pressing, and then you've got your fly based movements. Now, of course, you can do heavy flies or lighter flies, but the basic feeling of the set is the same. It's like saying a heavy curl is different than a lighter squeezing curl. But the reason I think that there's a difference that's notable enough to even reference on the pressing side of things is when I'm doing heavy incline Smith machine, like if I try to load up 3 plates or like as many as I can do for 10 reps, the rep essentially gets harder. It's the hardest at the bottom. That's when I get the most tension on my fucking chest, right? And as it comes up, especially when I'm pressing with like a straight bar, like a barbell or a Smith machine, I get to use my triceps a bit more too. So my chest actually does less work at the top of the rep, right? So it gets heavier, the load increases at the bottom, and then when I'm closer to the top, the load is lightened, right? So heavy pressing is hard at the bottom. Like a heavy squat, you're not going to fail at the top when you're standing up. You're going to fail at the bottom when you get the most tension going through your quads. So all the tension is in the stretched position. Whereas with something like the hammer strength, like flat chest press machine that I'm going to use later, the tension is such that because the machine's on a pendulum, I don't know, it's kind of tricky to explain, but the weight is lighter at the bottom of the rep. In the stretch position, the amount of force that you're actually feeling through your hands on the machine is less, and it gets progressively heavier as you press because the weight is being pushed further from the point of rotation. If you catch my drift. But basic gist, the further that you push out, the harder it gets, which is the complete opposite of something like a barbell or a Smith machine. So that's where a little bit lighter weight, where I really focus on trying to squeeze and flex as hard as fucking possible at the top of the movement, right? Like this is the hard part, and then this is kind of where I rest for a second. It's just kind of a different, at the end of the day, it's just a very different feeling. But as long as I'm pushing myself as hard as I can, guess what? Every single one of those sets, be it heavy pressing with a barbell or Smith, or the machine press or cable flies and everything, every set where I really push it contributes to my overall chest fatigue for the lift and contributes to my level of pumpedness. And I know it's just being pumped doesn't mean you had a perfect workout, because I could sit on the pec fly with really light weight and just burn out like 30 rep sets, really light, just squeeze a bit, get fully pumped. I wouldn't have put even that much work into my chest. I would not be even a little bit sore the next day. So just being pumped doesn't mean that your workout is perfect. But if you go hard and you're doing actual like valuable sets, I'm talking like 8 to even like upwards to 25 hard reps. It's a pretty wide fucking angle. Even reps of like even sets where you're only doing like 6 reps for a heavy set. I try to avoid that though. That's probably a little bit too heavy for my liking. Like for me, the heaviest that I want to go is an 8 rep set. And that's just because that number feels about right for me. But if I do a set of 8 reps on the machine press, but then I do like a 30 rep set with partials on the pec deck, I don't care that it's just a crazy rep differential. All I'm concerned with is how hard did I push it? How cool, or, well, I guess bad, but bad in a good way, does that feel in my chest? And then how pumped am I? So don't get too attached to any specific kind of approach. You know, throw some shit around in a reasonable fashion, squeeze hard, get a pump. You know, it's fucking sweet. And the cool part is, at least as far as I'm concerned, is honestly trying to, as long as you're going about it by using hard, heavy, like intense sets, the better that your pump was, I would say the better that your lift was. And the pump doesn't actually only reflect the quality of the lift, it reflects the quality of your entire preparation before the lift as well. Because if I got zero sleep, if I didn't eat enough food, Cybertruck spotted, another one. I make it's still new. If you watch this video 3 years later when Cybertrucks are normal, you wouldn't get it, but whatever. So I'm getting myself distracted. What am I talking about here? So as long as you're doing hard, heavy, intense sets, that is gonna. Oh, now I'm really backstepping. I just derailed myself. Whoops. But what I'm trying to say there was, if I didn't drink enough water, if I didn't get enough sleep, if I'm not really in the mood, I'm not really excited to train, and then my training session ends up being kind of shit and I don't really push myself, then yeah, I'm gonna have a shit pump. My pump has reflected that I was not properly prepared for this fucking workout. Now, alternate reality, which I try to make my fucking daily reality, get a lot of fucking sleep, drink a lot of fucking water. I mean, I'm walking around with gallon jugs all over the place. Electrolytes, being well fed. Now, if you're dieting, of course, don't go over your calorie limit, but you still need to eat fucking, proteins and carbs, fats and everything. Bulking context, the well fed part is a little bit more basic to hit. Just eat a fuck ton of food and be nice and carved up. But as long as everything is in line and everything has been set up and I'm prepared, then I'm gonna have a crazy fucking pump, and it's gonna show. It always does. But enough rambling. Let's just jump straight to that first working set. And I do warm up. It's just usually kind of I've shown it before. Just some tricep activation, some rotator cuff activation, warm up sets, like 1 plate for 10 reps, 2 plates for 3, 3 plates for maybe 4, 1 for 1 or whatever, just to get warm. But let's cut to that first working set. All right, that was a certified freaky fucking chest day if I've ever seen one. Oh my goodness. Thank you. But yeah, pretty much what I fucking envisioned beforehand. Heavy pressing. Pretty fucking heavy pressing. Followed by some flies. Heavy, but still flies. Some more pressing and a little bit of extra kind of squeezing cable flies to finish it off. Nothing else. And what a good example of kind of what I mean when I say like the actual exercise choices themselves isn't so important, is because if instead of doing incline Smith machine I did incline barbell, or if instead of incline barbell I did incline dumbbell, if I still did 3 really heavy sets of around the same rep range, as long as it's the same kind of basic style of movement, it's going to get the job done. My chest doesn't necessarily know if it's pushing against a machine or a barbell or a dumbbell or whatever. All it knows is I'm fucking sending, contractual signals to it as hard as possible, and it's fighting against some serious weight. It doesn't have eyes, it doesn't have a fucking mind of its own. It doesn't know, oh, this feels like a barbell. No, that feels like a dumbbell. It just knows it's being worked, right? Now, of course, different parts are going to get worked differently depending on your incline angle, things like that, like the strength curve of everything. But in its most basic premise, it doesn't know. So don't be too concerned about like, oh, if I do barbell, I'm going to get big, but if I do dumbbell, I'm going to stay small. Oh, well, he said do dumbbell. Maybe I got to stop doing barbell. It's not a... If you ever hear someone say like, you should never do this, or this exercise is killing your gains, it's not that black and white. Nothing about working out is that black and white, except for a few key facts. What I would call the real tenets of weightlifting progress, right? That's calories in, calories out, number 1. If you eat enough, you're going to grow. If you don't eat enough, you're not. Or I guess vice versa. If you eat a little, you're going to shrink and you're going to lose body fat. If you work out, you'll hold on to your muscle. And if you eat too much, you're not going to lose any weight, right? Calories in, calories out. That's a strong one. You can't get around that. Progressive overload, I think that's pretty fucking legit too. A little bit grayer, a little bit more gray than this, but progressive overload's legit. As you lift more and you get bigger, you should get stronger. You're gonna need to lift heavier weights to continue your progress. I think we can wrap our heads around that pretty well. But even then, there's a limit. You know, you're not gonna catch me bench 5 plates. You know, that's beyond the realm of necessity. But you know, as I get stronger over this bulk, I'm probably gonna be doing like 4 plates on the incline. As long as I can, you know, do the reps in a reasonably controlled manner and not hurt myself, then yeah, I want as much load as my fucking muscles can handle. Massive highlight, double underline on the don't hurt myself part. That's really trying to focus on that. So you got to eat right to get your results. You got to train hard. You got to get your fucking at least, I'm not going to say at least 8 hours. I mean, historically, I definitely have not been getting 8 hours of sleep on average. But I can tell that when I do, that's when my training is the best. If I've got a week of jack shit for sleep, which doesn't really happen as much now, I could put a lot of focus into the routine. But like, you know, back when I was in school, I was a complete fucking schmuck when it came to my REM cycle. So now I'm a bit better about it, and I can tell every time I fucking go to sleep, I get to wake up reasonably fucking well rejuvenated and recovered to the point where I get to train again. You know, if you're the kind of guy who loves to say, dude, you can't train every day of the week, you're not gonna be able to recover from that. I may come at you with a rebuttal and say, how much sleep did you get last night? If you tell me 4 hours or below, honestly, if you tell me 5 hours or below, then yeah, I'd probably fucking agree with you, right? But if you're getting your fucking 8 hours like you're supposed to, guess what? I think you're gonna be okay, you know? Apart from the natural slowing of your, well, when you're younger, you know, when you're kind of teenage, pubescent kind of guy, you are spending a lot of energy literally building your body, right? That's kind of why kids get away with eating all sorts of junk. Their body is always in a state of growth, you know, so if you're growing, you're going to use those excess calories for actual fucking body building, right? But the only difference between you, and I'm talking to kind of the older generation now, you versus like you when you were in high school, is guess what? You probably haven't been killing it as much in terms of your activity as of late. I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm just saying in general, like, yeah, no wonder you're going to feel different if you now have gone from like daily exercise on the regular, like when you used to lift fucking hard, do whatever sport you used to do. If you did that for hours a day versus now being relatively sedentary, like a large fucking portion of the US population is, yeah, that's going to have a pretty serious fucking result in a change on your body, you know? So it's going to take a little bit to get back into gear, but the guy who lifts consistently hard, right? Eats his food, gets a good amount of sleep, is well hydrated, takes all his fucking vitamins and his fish oils. That guy can train on a consistent basis. And I don't think anybody should be I personally don't love the bad mouthing of like, you can't recover from that. Come on, man. Come on. Try it for yourself at least, right? Try to train as hard as you can. And then if you can't recover from it, then that should be a fucking sign you're training hard. You know, take a rest day. I'm not anti-rest day. I am anti-unnecessary rest day. That's my take there. But heavy pressing, solid flies, nasty pump. Feel well oiled up now that I got all my fluids and carbs floating around my system, which I wasn't really, you know, enjoying the benefits of when I was dieting down. So my plan now, my plan now is to just fucking just go home, eat. I'm gonna put a bunch of like fingerling potatoes in the oven. I'm talking olive oil. I'm talking salt. I'm talking a little bit of pepper. That's gonna be fucking sweet. So probably, I mean, I could see over the course of tonight, 200 grams of carbs worth of starches plus some steaks. That is a perfect finisher fucking meal for me. So, plan for tomorrow. I'm not gonna hit back. No, back is I'm gonna hit back every other back day, but on every other non-back day, I'll do a little something special. So I think I'm gonna make tomorrow just calves and forearms. Really just thrash calves and forearms. Because I've kind of said this before, my back is well developed to the point where I want everything else to fucking grow and catch up, you know? Like there's a point to just getting as big as fucking possible, but I want to be in decent proportion, you know? So if my arms are lagging behind my back, then I want to put my back a little bit further on the back burner, literally on the back burner. If I can turn the heat down a little, leave it on a simmer, you know, I'm still training it once a week, but instead work on some other kind of, I wouldn't say accessory muscles, but yeah, kind of accessory muscles, you know? So really get a nasty forearm pump and then just wreck calves. Never a bad move. So I'll see if there's a, you're not going to really catch me doing any abs. It's just not necessary for me. I guess I've been explaining this for a little while. With your abs, they definitely need direct ab work. And I'm not talking about like just, you know, doing 100 toe touches where you like sit down and you bend back and forth like this. I'm not talking like V-ups and fucking crunches. Like, I mean, those work. I think it's not an awesome stimulus to fatigue ratio for any Renaissance periodization fans watching. But, you know, if I want a big chest, you're not going to catch me do 100 push-ups in a row. Even though that's going to be hard work on my chest, that's not how I want to go about it. You know, I'm going to load my chest up with weight, do sets to failure. So when it comes to your abs, if you don't have a well-defined set of abdominals, why would you want to hit it any differently? You know, it's not like your muscle fibers in your abs are like fucking magically different to everything else. They're going to respond to the same basic shit. You know, mechanical tension, load. So one of my maybe I'll do a little bit of abs just for fun, just for kicks to kind of explain it. But one of my favorite ab movements, I'd say it's just a kneeling cable crunch, you know? Put the cable on like shoulder height-ish, throw a rope on it, maybe throw like a yoga pad or something on the ground so your knees aren't just fucking getting all chafed up. Then just sit there and fucking hunch over with as much weight as you can do. Like I'm only doing like 15 rep sets. Like I'm doing like pretty much the stack once I'm warm. Really just fucking burn them out, get an ab pump, do 6-7 sets and leave. So as much as the logic of like abs are built in the kitchen is true, I see a lot of guys where even though they're lean and they're muscular, like they've got big chest, big arms, big back, big shoulders, everything, even though they're lean, their stomach is very just flat and undefined. And it's because they've got fucking underdeveloped abs, you know? It's still a muscle like anything else. So even though it's most visually fucking apparent when you are leaner, I mean, your chest is huge. Your chest is fucking bulbous. You can see if someone has a big chest, even if they've got substantial amounts of body fat on them. But the body fat kind of rate of concealing your abs, it's quick. You know, your abs are pretty much the first muscle to go, per se. So, you know, be that the case, be that as it may, if they're not developed in the first place, it doesn't matter how lean you're gonna get, you're just not gonna fucking see them, man, you know? So like anything, they need to be developed, but to a degree. So at this point, I've done fucking, well, even before working out, I've done years of ab training from like the sports I would do, like doing gymnastics and diving and stuff. A lot of the workouts were very ab focused because it was kind of like acrobatic. Like the whole point of or whenever you do a flip or something, if you want to go from having a straight body to like tucking yourself up into a ball, you kind of need stronger abs. So they really kind of locked down on us with the ab development. But even working out, I would do some weighted crunches and stuff for a while, but they're big enough now. And you know who said this really well was fucking Greg Doucette. Not recently, I don't remember. This is like a long time ago. But your abs don't need much direct work to maintain once you have them. Because every fucking time you do You look at yourself in the mirror, or like every time I do side chest or side tricep or anything, even some of the flexes in the mirror are literally just flexing my fucking abs. They get a lot of activation. Just from just from being a lifter, you're gonna naturally fucking activate your abs pretty frequently throughout the day. And also, they get activated in a lot of movements that you do. I usually don't notice this because I don't do a crazy amount of squat volume, or at least I haven't consistently. But I think it was like 2 leg days ago where I did a lot of did like 5 or 4 sets of Smith machine squats. My abs were fucking sore afterwards, to the point where I could really notice. And then every time you do heavy tricep pushdowns, when you bend over on the weight and you're pushing down on the weight, you're using your abs to hold your torso in place. Right? If your abs are completely relaxed and you're trying to do a tricep pushdown, your body would just push itself backwards. Right? So you use your abs to hold yourself in place while you push the weight down. I mean, it's just, they get worked a lot, you know? So once they're there, they're not going anywhere. And that's why you're not going to see me do a 30-minute ab workout on the regular. I'll do them every so often just kind of for fun, just because I kind of like having an ab pump. But yeah, don't be concerned. Once you have a reasonably developed set of abs, they're not going to go anywhere. Now, if you put on some extra body fat, they're still there, but they're just hidden. So that's that's one point I want to kind of get across. Trying the logic of only trying to diet down to get your abs to show. That's not the only way to go about it, and it shouldn't be the only way you go about it. Now, of course, leaner you are, the more they're going to show. But the bigger that they are, the more they're going to show. So it's kind of do both at once style situation. So I'm going to go home, eat, have a good night's rest, dream about the forearm workout that I'm going to do tomorrow. Maybe I'll probably watch some old Lee Priest clips to get myself hyped up for it, and then fucking repeat as usual. So I'm gonna start tracking my weight on the actual on like a Google spreadsheet now that I'm actually kind of reached the real beginning weight. I'm no longer just gaining 2 pounds a day on the refeed. So let's see how quick we get fully bulked up, guys. I'm sleepy. So I'll see you tomorrow.